Mark Malone, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. Download their mobile app today. Welcome back, Mark. We got a big game tonight in the NFC. Saints looking for to stay atop at the 1 seed in the NFC, and the Cowboys are trying to stay atop of the NFC East. Got a good one tonight.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one. I said yesterday I expect a double-digit win by the Saints in this one, despite being on the road. This Dallas team has played a little bit better as of late. Certainly, you look at their 3-game win streak, but you ask yourself, who have they really beaten, to be honest with you? This Saints team is playing as well as anybody in the NFL right now. Clearly, we talk a lot about Drew Brees and Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, and I mean they're putting up a lot of points, and but nobody's talking about the defensive end of the football. I think over the last 3 weeks they played as well, if not better, than any defense in the National Football League, and that's kind of been the bugaboo down there in New Orleans. So they're playing well. They're going to go on the road and face this Dallas offense that has acquired Amari Cooper, who I think now gives them a weapon that they haven't had in a couple of years, a receiver that can actually separate and give Dak Prescott some comfort in terms of where he's throwing the football and to whom he's throwing it to. But I think some people have kind of gone off the deep end and said, well, it's changed what they do offensively. And I don't agree with that. I still think that this Dallas defense runs through Ezekiel Elliott. My guess is they'll do everything they can to try to take him away or at least minimize him tonight, and force Dak Prescott to have to drop back and throw the football. And I just don't think he's the kind of guy that can throw it 30, 35 times a game and win on a consistent basis. So I think if New England, or not New England, pardon me, if New Orleans gets up early in this football game, which I expect them to do, and all of a sudden Dallas has to start playing from behind, I think that the Saints probably pull away and win by double digits.
That would be good for the Eagles as they take on Washington. Of course, you can hear Thursday night football right here on 97.3 ESPN. Our coverage begins at 8 o'clock. And, Mark, the Eagles and Redskins, I mean, these are two teams that obviously have a lot to play for. The Eagles finally get that win against the Giants last week. It wasn't pretty, but they got it done. How did they match up with this banged-up Redskins team?
Well, I mean, you look at what's gone on in Philadelphia. They've been bit by the injury bug. That offensive line has been banged up for the last month, and that's been difficult. They haven't been able to really run the football. Although this kid, Josh Adams, apparently now has moved to the top of the pecking order, had a nice game against the Giants, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of him against the Redskins on Monday night. But listen, Washington they lost 3 offensive linemen a couple of weeks ago. You lose Alex Smith. I'm not a big believer in Colt McCoy. My guess is they'll try to do everything they can to manage him, and meaning that they're going to try to run the football, play action, do those kinds of things, and minimize the third and long situations. It's been a battle of attrition for both of these football teams. I think the Eagles will probably win this football game, although I don't think it'll be a pretty one to watch. But when you start looking at the schedule for Philadelphia down the road here, as they've gotten themselves back, at least in the conversation of the NFC East, they've got they've got a couple of really tough outs. They've got some tough games coming up. Unless they start playing at a really high level, I don't see them winning those games. And so, I mean, the NFC East could be won by an 8-8, 9-7 team. It's either going to be Philadelphia or the Dallas Cowboys. Again,
All right, we know that this NFC East could come down to the wire. The Eagles do play Dallas next week. They've got Washington one more time at the end. You mentioned their schedule. The Rams are in there in L.A. and the Houston Texans. But right now in the NFC, are you a Saints guy or are you a Rams guy?
Wow. I picked the Saints to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl before the season got started. I knew they'd play great offensively, and I love Alvin Kamara, and I think Sean Payton does a great job. They got off to a really slow start on the defensive side of the football, something I thought they got corrected towards the end of last year. But over the last 3 weeks, they played as good, if not better, than anybody in the NFL on the defensive side of the football. Now, having said that, I still like the Rams. This is a football team that runs through Todd Gurley and probably do a better job than anybody in the NFL with play action. They don't throw a lot of the little crossing routes. They look to push the football down the field and just hit big plays. Defensively, on paper, they're as good, if not better, than anybody in the league. I think the getting the key to lead back will settle that secondary down a little bit. They need to do a better job up front in the front seven to stop in the run. But I think that would be a hell of an NFC Championship game, Saints and Rams. And if you ask me to pick right now, I'd probably pick the Rams.
All right, should be fun these last couple of weeks. These last 5 weeks, down the stretch they come. The fight for the number 1 seed, the fight for the NFC East, and a lot of these divisions are still up for grabs. The Bears in the North, we'll see how they go. The AFC, a lot of great storylines as well. Mark Malone from NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen at NBCSportsRadio.com. Download their mobile app today. Mark, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, my friend.
You got it, my buddy, and enjoy the football this weekend.